Hey everybody, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my studio. What do you do when you want to create, but you don't know what you want to create? That's when you can go and use prompt cards. These are my 100 pick a prompt cards that I put together. They're available at NINNYSNAPKINS.com if you want to get the digital download. So here's how I use them. I have a book, Playing with Prompts, that I'm going to use them. And I'm just going to flip through these and pick 5 of them that are just catching my interest. Like I said, I'm not feeling particularly inspired and I don't know what I'm going to do. So I picked puzzle, wind, lighthouse, and daisy. So I've narrowed it down to 4 or 5 possible choices. Now, what I'm going to do is open up my prompt book and do kind of a brain dump around each of those words. See where that word, that prompt takes me. So right now I'm doing puzzles and I'm thinking I could use a puzzle stamp that I have. I can use some negative painting with the puzzle stamp. I can look for quotes about puzzles. Whatever comes to mind is what I'm putting down here. I'm not really editing myself at this stage. I'm just writing down ideas. And if this prompt is one that I'm not going to end up using, I already have the brainstorming, which is going to move me forward later on down the road. I even draw myself a little bit of a sketch for whatever is going on in my head. So I did that for puzzles, lighthouse, wind, and daisy, but I'm only going to show you a couple of them. So for a lighthouse, I have a quote, be a lighthouse in someone's storm. I have an ocean commotion sentiment pack, a digital sentiment pack. There might be a quote there that I can use. I can recreate the ocean scene, and I like kind of maybe doing a sunset or a sunrise. And I know I have lots of napkins that have lighthouse on them. The other thing that you can do when you have a prompt is go to Pinterest and just do a search in there for what you're thinking about. Now, I'm not looking for an exact project to do. I'm looking for ideas. You might be able to get a printable there that you'll be able to download, or just an idea, something to further you along and inspire you. I like the wave action here. I like the way they cut those strips. I could do that with collage papers. I'm thinking I could make my lighthouse using collage papers if I wanted to. I found another quote, be the light. That would work with this lighthouse effect. I like how they even drew the lighthouse. There's lessons on how to draw some of these images if that's the way you want to go. So you're just looking for ideas, color combinations, backgrounds, what have you. So now that I know kind of where I'm going to go with the prompt lighthouse, I'm preparing the page. Now, this is just an old composition book or a new composition book, cheap composition book, and I'm giving it a coat of gesso because, of course, it's very thin paper that I've done. And I'll link the video where I show how to prepare these pages. In my gel printing collage paper stash, I have this tissue, or I think this is napkin, that I've done some stenciling on. There's some music notes and different things. It's been sitting on my desk for a while, and I'm going to use it to really catapult my creative session here. All the marks are going to go down by applying this collage sheet. And I'm gluing it down with my fluid matte medium. I'm wrinkling it, crinkling it up, to get more texture. So I'm going to get texture and pattern, and that's going to be an all important first layer. I'm not going to of my background. And I'm putting a coat of that fluid matte medium on the top. Now I said I had lots of napkins, so I'm going through my napkin binder. I have this one that's a larger scale napkin. These ones have lighthouse, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. And with the background that I've already chosen, that would get lost. So I'm going to save those for another day. I've got other C ones. Now, all the napkins you see here come from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. There is a link in the description box so you can go and check it out. And there's a coupon code if you find something. I like this lighthouse. I like the pastel feel, the sunrise, sunset. I think it's called sunset. So sunset, the warm colors of that. So I'm thinking about going that route too. So I've isolated again. I've given myself two options from the many that I had. And I'm picking, what road. And now in order to make this assessment, I'm going to cut out the portion of the napkin that I'm thinking about using. And that's just going to allow me to get a better idea if it's going to work or how I can make it work. So I'm going to put it right there, and then I could extend and colorize the background to match this. So I'm thinking about that. I also have this larger scale one where my background is going to show a lot more. And there's two different kind of lighthouses in this napkin. You get two of each. And I'm just going to, again, isolate this lighthouse to audition it on my page. I'm liking the red over the blue for some reason, maybe the contrast that it's going to bring. And I'm thinking I'm going to create that pastel background of that other napkin with this focal image. So I'm really taking the inspiration from the napkin. I'm peeling off to prepare this. Now that I've cut it off, I'm peeling off the excess layers and I'm going to glue this on copy paper. The reason being, if I glued it right down onto that background, all that black stenciling from the collage paper is going to come through the lighthouse because the napkin is going to go very transparent or translucent. And I don't want that to happen, so I'm gluing it down onto copy paper, putting a coat of it underneath and on top. Once it's completely dry, I'm going to fussy cut around it. And I have the focal image that I'm using. You'll notice that I added a little bit of height to that because I want to build that up a little bit taller than what is by an adjustment. So I'm going to position my lighthouse, cut off that excess of that collage paper, and then I'm just going to glue this down. I'm using TCW's gel medium in the matte finish because it's a little thicker focal image. The paper is a little thicker because there's multiple layers there. Once that's completely dry, I am using, or I thought to use, my Inktense pencils. Remember, I want to create that background that I saw in the other napkin and the pastel colors. And I thought my Inktense blocks were going to do that. Now, Inktense blocks work like watercolor, but they're ink and they are permanent when dry. So here I'm just adding to the greenery underneath it. I test out the colors if I want to test out the colors. I'm not sure what's going to work. And I just wet it with water to activate it and blend it. And often when I'm using my Inktense blocks, I'm using multiple colors, not just one color. The edge of that was showing, so I'm grabbing some gesso and just daubing that in, and then I'll come back with those Inktense blocks again and colorize that. And you won't see that the napkin had ended there. So you can activate with water, you can activate with gesso or a combination thereof when you're using your Inktense blocks. Now these Inktense blocks I've had for 8 years. I love them in my mixed media. So here I want to create a little bit of ocean and then sky, and those are going to be slightly different colors. I'm going for like the sunset kind of sky. And I picked two colors here. And right off the bat, I'm thinking, I don't like this. So I'm adding some gesso to knock it back. And it's not what's happening on the page isn't what I have in my head. So there's a bit of a conflict going on between those two things. So you're going to see me working and reworking this, adding more colors. Here's I'm adding some green, some purple. Again, I'm building interest by adding a variety of colors. And then I'm moving on to the sky. And I want this to be muted, like that one napkin. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue, a little bit of orange and pink, as you can see me doing here. Now I've sped this up because, spoiler alert, I end up not liking what is happening. Again, what's in my head isn't happening here. Now the Inktense blocks are very matte, very flat looking, chalky in a bit. And maybe it's because I don't like pastels so much. I like big, bold colors more so. Now I'm adding some of that color from the sky to reflect in the water here. And I'm just working it till I get what I like. And it's quite a process. It's a bit of a dance. And this goes on for a while. It's like, okay, I don't like the water here, so I'm using a little more gesso. I'm knocking it back, a little less pattern. Then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to use my stamp here, and I'm stamping some of this white gesso on the water just to further define the water. And I don't mind that. But again, I'm just trying. Then I thought, oh, I'm going to add some text stamp on there. But overall, it's just looking very flat, very pastel to me. The only thing I really like about this page right now is the green grass. I like how that turned out. So I'm thinking, okay, what if I shade around my lighthouse and make it stand out from the background? Maybe that's all that it will take to make the focal image stand out and have everything work together. So when you're art journaling, a lot of the times what you're doing is solving problems. This isn't working. What can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And it's trial and error. And it doesn't matter how many art journal pages you've done, you still go through that process. And I actually enjoy that problem solving process. So here is where it's at. And you know what? It's okay. But I'm not happy with it. I want brighter colors in the sky. So I nixed the idea of using the Inktense blocks, and I'm coming in with my acrylic colors, yellow, orange, um, magenta, and burnt sienna, and I'm just watering that down a little bit and really boosting the color, making it a little or a lot more vibrant. So again, I'm just playing with it. I'm putting some on here, going here, then going back to the yellow, going back to the burnt sienna, adding the pink. And overall, I'm much happier with these brighter colors. And then again, I'm bringing those colors into the water, into the grass, because the reflection of the night sky, the sunset, is going to show or be reflected in the water. I'm liking how that initial collage paper is showing through, especially in the sky. That was a quick, easy way of getting a lot of pattern in a very simple way. So here I'm happier with the color. It's brighter, it's more vibrant, more what was in my head. So there is where it was, and there is where it was before. Do you like the more pastel one or the brighter one like I do? Now I'm ready to shade around or edge my page with black acrylic paint. That just frames it. And then I'm adding a little bit of that black detailing on the waves and the water as well. My water looked a little faded, so I'm adding a little bit more blue there just to tweak the color. Then, because I want to choose the phrase "be the light," I wanted the rays coming off the lighthouse. So I grabbed this sunburst stencil from the crafter's workshop and I'm taping it down, and I'm going to use the champagne gold stencil butter from the crafter's workshop and have that sunburst circle the lighthouse. This is adding some bling, adding some brightness to my page. I'm using a palette knife to apply it, but you could use a key card if that's your preferred way. It's usually what I go for. Just go slowly. I'm not looking for perfect stenciling, but I'm hoping right now that it's not bleeding or squishing underneath. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. And the moment of truth, I'm going to peel back and reveal I like it. Adding that bling really added to the page. Then I decided that I wanted to stamp the phrase "be the light" on the water portion here. So I'm using my wooden letter stamps and I'm applying, I believe it's Naples yellow with a makeup sponge on it, and then I'm just stamping on it. When you stamp with acrylic paint, if it's not exactly right or you mess up, you can come in and wipe it back with a wet cloth and try again. And you can't really do that if you use ink. So I like to stamp with acrylic paint. And then I clean off the acrylic paint off of my stamp right after I use it. You don't want it to dry on there and wreck your stamps. There's a lot of texture under there because of that first collage paper, and that's interfering with me stamping. So that's why you see me erasing a lot and trying again. I'm not trying to get it perfectly straight. I find that that's almost impossible, so I don't even attempt it. I go for the wavy look. And I decided I wanted a little bit of text on my background, and I'm using a text stamp here from Tim Holtz and using white acrylic paint and just stamping just for one more little detail just to tie everything together. Sometimes you don't know when to stop. Did I go too far? Taking off the tape, and there we have the finished page. It was a bit of a struggle, but in the end, I love what's turned out, even though it wasn't a match to what was in my head at the beginning. You never know where it's going to go. So if you want some prompt cards, go to Ninny's Napkins, and it's available as a digital download. You can get them, and there's information in there on how to use the prompt cards in a variety of ways. Lots of value added to the prompt cards. Until next time, go get creative.